What happens when life tells you you have 6 months to live? Not once, not twice, three separate times. What kind of mindset does it take to hear that and still build and still lead and still serve and still rise? Today's conversation is not about illness. It's about identity. It's about risk. It's about the moment you realize that leadership is not about your life. It's about your response when everything is stripped away. Because here's the truth: your relationship with risk reveals everything. It reveals how you decide, it reveals how you lead, it reveals how you are when the stakes are sky high. And today's guest has lived that reality in boardrooms and in hospitals. So if you've ever felt uncertain, and if you've ever had to reinvent yourself from the bottom up, and if you've ever had to say, I'm still here when everything said you shouldn't be, this episode is for you. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments, the best growth mindset podcast recognized by Million Podcasts and ranked as a top mindset podcast by FeedSpot. We're proud to be in the top 1% on Listen Notes. Join Dr. Alyssa White as we explore powerful insights and strategies to elevate your mindset. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments. I'm your host, Dr. Elisa, and you already know we are here to disrupt the way you think so you can elevate how you live and lead. Today, I am joined by Tom Lenoble. Tom is an executive leader, speaker, coach, and author whose career spans Fortune 500 giants, including Facebook, Walmart.com, and Palm. He is the CEO of the Academy for Coaching Excellence, where he trains certified coaches, and he serves as a leadership coach at the Miller Center for Global Impact at Santa Clara University. He is also the author of My Life in Business, Suits, Hospital Gowns, and High Heels. And here's what makes this conversation powerful. Tom survived 2 life-threatening illnesses. He was told he had 6 months to live 3 times. Yep, I said 3 times. And yet he lives by one phrase: I'm still here. Tom, welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments. We are so excited to welcome you to the show. Tell us who you are, what you do, and exactly why you do it after everything you've gone through. And
Thank
well,
you,
let's
Elliot.
just say one through. One through is a better phrase for you.
Thank you, Alyssa. It's great to be with you. I've been looking forward to being with you and your viewers. You know, I like to say I retired being retired to be inspired. I had this
Ooh.
great corporate career. As Alyssa shared with you, I led customer service at MCI, the long distance carrier. I was the head of customer service at Walmart.com in their early days. I ran global service operations for Palm, the Palm Pilot Trio people. They're now part of HP. And I was sitting at my desk one day and the phone rang, and it was a recruiter from an unknown company to me called Facebook. They were still in colleges. I didn't know what it was. I thanked the recruiter, told them I had my dream job, and hung up the phone. And a buddy called me that I used to work with, who's a VC in the Valley, and said, I referred you to Facebook. You didn't talk to them. And I said, what's Facebook? Well, it's a great story. I ended up interviewing with Mark Zuckerberg when he was 19. And the story about that interview is amazing. But I ended up going and starting in the first 75 employees. I think I was 57, but who's counting, to set up all their customer operations and some other big events and things that were going on at Facebook at the time in those very early days. Then I was the chief support officer for a company that's now the backbone of the Geek Squad remote support. I had my own consulting business. I worked at a dating site of all things that got purchased by Match.com, and I managed the merger. And then boards would send me into their startup with a perceived problem, which was never the problem, to as the COO or the VP of HR. And then I fell in love, got married, and traveled the world. But I knew I had more to give, more wisdom to share, which led me to what I'm doing today, which Alyssa shared with you.
What an amazing journey. And I know a lot of times we're like, oh my God, that's amazing because it absolutely is. To be at the ground floor of customer service is some of the most impactful, both culturally, it just impacted our world and changed our world. I mean, Facebook, I mean, MCI. Like, I was born and raised in Guyana, South America, Tom, and even I grew up knowing MCI. What was the jingle again? I forgot.
Let
Did
us
they do
show you
Hello
as one. Friends and family was one.
Right, that was the one that I remember the most, exactly, MCI, Friends and Family, and so I remember, like, I'm thinking about that journey, but I can only imagine that to serve at those levels and being able to step back and look at what it's become, it's very rewarding, but that doesn't say you have to stop there, right? And certainly didn't happen. So here's the question I have for you, Tom. When you were first told, because this moment came, and I'm jumping in right here, that you had 6 months to live after everything, the remarkable work you have been involved in at the time, what happened internally? Was it fear? Was it clarity? Was it anger? What shifted in you?
Well, Alyssa, this is a great question because what I haven't shared with you yet is in everything I just told you, I was sick the whole time.
Mm, my God.
I fantasized that people are going to read this book that I worked for. I was an executive at these companies, and they're going to read the book and go, this guy was sick. And they certainly didn't know anything about high heels because you see, they wouldn't have hired me if they'd known I was sick. So I kept it hidden. But the first time I found
Right.
out that I was sick, I was at MCI and I was on a real fast track with them. And it was of all those companies, it was the best that I worked for. It was an amazing place to
Mm,
be. And I went and got tested, and it turned out that I was very, very sick. And a few weeks later, the doctor said to me, I wasn't kidding. You can die at your desk, or you can do something you enjoy. You're going to die. Well, I remember the day I got the results of the test, I went to my car and I looked in the rearview mirror and I spoke to that virus and I said, if you want to join my party, welcome. If you think you're going to take me out, you're in the fight of your life. And then I went back to work. And then a few weeks later, the doctor said I wasn't kidding about this. And I made one of the toughest decisions, which was to leave this wonderful job and step into the world of disability. Well, what
mm,
I did with that is to specifically answer your question was I turned that into action. So by
mhm,
telling you that, 6 of us started the DC Buyers Club. Think about the Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey that you saw on there. Well, we had a little less Hollywood, probably just as many hookers, maybe, I don't know, but we had a little flat that if you came in the front room, we offered you information and a hug when nobody else would because there was really nothing for people that were sick at
mm,
that time. But once we got to know you,
mm.
we invited you in the back room for things we had imported. We were doing things we didn't even know what we were doing, injecting bovine thymus, all sorts of things because there was nothing else, just trying to stay alive. So I think for me, it was turning that fear into action.
Wow. So amazing. I am still at that part. I mean, I follow along, but I can't get over because the tenacity in the way in which you spoke to that virus or what was threatening your health and your life. I have to say, we kind of talked a little bit behind the scenes, and I have had several of those moments in my journey where I'm like, you're not going to win. I'm like, I tell people all the time when the international best-selling book came out for me, I was in the hospital, in a hospital room, and there's photos to prove it. When we launched that international bestseller on Zoom, I was in the hospital bed. My blood count was 6.2, and the doctor could not get me to stop bleeding. And I had to make a decision, and I did not make the decision they wanted me to make to cut what they needed to cut so they could save my life. I'm like, no, I'm going to get better because I got stuff to do. And they're like, you need to do this surgery now. I'm like, no, I need time to think about it. I have stuff to do. I have to make time for this. I did not come here to this hospital for you to hospitalize me and then send me home to recover for 3 months. You and this thing is going to have to wait. Let's do what we need to do. Keep giving me the blood and I will get better. Just watch. And in less than a week, I was out of the hospital, did not have the surgery. I didn't have the surgery until maybe 6 months later because, like I said, I got stuff to do. But I did not let it stop me. What I did do, Tom, and this is where I'm going to come into your story, I made adjustments to get better, but life kept going. And I didn't keep up with the same pace, but that downtime, I use it for other things. And so when I say, can you tell me, did your definition of success change in that moment? Because
You
you
know,
had
I
already achieved corporate success. You had the
yeah, I
resume,
did.
the
Well,
credibility, and the rooms.
it was one of those things where I ended up going on disability and I turned that into success because I ended up moving to California knowing that if I wanted to live, I needed to be in a major city, either New York or San Francisco. And when I got here, there was a huge waiting list. I was on 3 different doctors' waiting lists. And one finally
Mm,
called because they had a cancellation. And I got thrown in the
mm-hmm.
hospital the same day for 2 weeks. But I ended up running clinical trials for that doctor. I ended up being the executive director of a foundation that was focused on children with AIDS. I ended up doing things that I turned what was the fear of things and what was the challenge of things into action and to giving back, which is one of the biggest lessons about illness and some of the experiences I've had and giving back. And then this amazing thing happened where it was probably 1999, early 2000, and I had 9 T cells. You're supposed to have like 700 or so. I mean, I named them and
Mm,
had people watching over them,
mm,
and the doctor said to me, "This is as good as it gets." And
mm,
in my fashion, which I can tell you over and over again happened, I thought about that and I said, that doesn't sit well with me. So I decided I'm going to go back to work.
mm.
And it was in the internet revolution of the dot-com days. I had missed the whole internet revolution while I was on disability, and where did I go to work? A dot-com. I remember I was interviewing, the doctor said, "It's gonna kill you." The disability company gave me an extra year to fall back on, and I remember being downtown San Francisco in Union Square, got the phone call. I think I was levitating as I said yes. Then I realized I had nothing to wear. I went in a men's store and bought 3 suits. But here's the great part of this story. I went in there. I knew I had a lot to learn. I knew I was really bright and I would do it. But despite all the naysayers, my health soared. You
That
see,
is
when we
amazing.
take action out
Mm-hmm.
of what can be fearful, things happen. I've been given that death sentence a few times. And, I've had enough
Yes.
radiation. I've had
Mm.
enough radiation that I glow in the dark. You could put me in the corner of your room and I could be a
Wow.
nightlight for you. And the last time
Wow.
they said, I remember a few years ago, they said, "This is back and it's in 5 locations and we can't do anything for you." And
Mm.
I chuckled. Now, if you want to upset a few doctors, give them a laugh when they tell you you've got
When they
6 months to live. But
I
I knew
know.
something they didn't. I knew that if I was going to die, I had already dealt with that and I would make that a meaningful experience. But
Mhm.
most importantly, I knew something they didn't. And I wanted a mission to find something else. I stood up. So people ask me, and I know, Alyssa, you'll be able to identify with this. People say, "Tom, what makes you think when you say, 'I'm still here,' why are you still here?"
Right.
And here's my
Right.
answer. I've had the best medical care. I've had access to great treatment. My skin color gives me privilege.
Mm.
But the key
Mm.
to it all was one thing. I
Mm.
believed I could.
Come on now. Come on. That's the bottom line. If someone listening can catch what you just said, I'm gonna ask everyone to not just listen to what he said first in that segment, to listen to what he said last, because that is what you need to hold on to like nothing before. It's always, how can I? What possibilities is this opening up for me? I tell everyone we each have an unfair advantage in life. Our goal should be to identify what that is. And it's way beyond what we look like on the outside. And I'm going to say it goes back to the way we think it's all up here. And
It,
that
it,
to me,
I have
go ahead,
so
Tom.
many clients, Alyssa, that live in the past. They live in the past as if there's going to be a do-over. If like our phones, when we watch a video now, there's that little go back 10 seconds button, like you can do that. That's not life, doesn't work that way. And so
Please.
unless you can learn something, don't live there. Come here and live in the present where this is where all the good stuff happens. Is right. Don't even get too far in the future because you got to keep the food in the fridge, the kids fed, and gas in the car. But don't get too far in the future because we woke up today. Some people didn't. Right
Right.
here is where things are happening. And so a lot of times, I don't take away from it being hard. Illness is hard. Some of the things that happen in life are hard. In fact, I have something, if you ask me about it later, I'd love to tell you about what I call terrible gifts. But this whole idea that we live in the past and as if something's going to change, as if we're going to, you get a diagnosis, you get a bad lab result, it's not going to change.
No,
So
it will
what I do
not.
now is I look at my phone, I look at the time, I say, Tom, you got 30 minutes. Scream
Come
it,
on.
stop your feet, cry, do whatever you want to do, and then let's move forward. Because that's what resilience is. It's not just
Come on.
about getting back up, it's how do you grow from it.
It's how do you grow from it? We're this is you and I are gonna have to talk a lot more than this one episode. Jeez. That's why I'm actually not gonna be taking more guests for season 4. Because season 4, I feel like there are some conversations that just need to be continued for at least 3 to 4 more episodes. But when you talk about us assuming and acting as if, not even assuming, acting as if we have this rewind button and being stuck in the past, I have come to a place with myself. It's been a couple of years at least or more, where, like you said, you got 30 minutes. You got 30. And I'm like, out of a number, I have no clue that breath will be in this body. I have the nerve to give myself 2 hours to pout, to get frustrated. But, I had the nerve because I know it's necessary to process and work through those emotions that come up in order to bounce back into full, what I call strategic resilience. But this is not about my conversation. I want to bounce back over to risk and leadership because you talk about riskability. And I love it. I love the concept because most people think risk means danger, but you frame it very differently, Tom. So can you define this for us? What really is riskability?
Well, I invite your viewers to go to my website because right there you can take the riskability quiz. It's a short
Yes.
assessment that will give you your riskability score. And really, what risk is about, I link it with risk, resilience, and reinvention.
Yes.
Because in life, there are risks we take. We don't know how they're going to turn out, we don't know the outcome. But sitting idle, sitting in the past, and not stepping forward is like not living your life. It's like not
Yes.
stepping in and
Please.
embracing life. So take those risks. They're not mindless risks. They're not dangerous risks. They're not like you're going to jump off a cliff without a safety net. They're stepping into something which is sometimes a baby step. A
Yes.
bunch of baby
Yes.
steps can equal a big step. And then once you take a few risks, you do what I call resilience. I call it a muscle. It's like your
Mm.
bicep or tricep that you exercise to look good in your clothes. You exercise resilience and it gets better and better. In fact, I say resilience is your greatest currency. The stock market can
Mm,
crash, you can lose your job, you can lose your lover, you can get sick, disaster can happen, but no one can take your resilience away. And when you take risks and your resilience, you have the opportunity to reinvent yourself. So, whatever
yes.
life is throwing at you, there is an opportunity of this risk, resilience, and reinvention. Here's what
Mm,
I find people forget most
mm-hmm.
their evidence. We,
You know.
we've all been through things in our life, and we're here. And we
Mm-hmm.
forget when something happens and rattles us or shakes us to the core. We forget the things that we've experienced before that we have gotten through. So I remind people, remember your evidence. Bring your evidence along with you when you're getting ready to take the risk because you'll see you've taken them before. When you're being
Mm.
resilient, because you'll see you had to be resilient before, and you will see you've had to reinvent yourself before.
We do it and we don't even realize. And that's where I talk about in my disrupt method and when we're disrupting a limiting belief is where look for proof for the things that you think. I can't. I don't know why I always. But we lean, our brain has a bias. We know that we're naturally made or as human beings to default to protect ourselves because of the caveman brain. But no, there's no bear chasing us anymore. So we have to be, intentional about I have survived everything that almost took me out, that I thought I would, not make it through at 100%. That's the truth. Like, you're like, "Yeah, but I'm hurt. I'm guarded." I am getting to the place, Tom, again, this is one of those other things I'm getting really radical. I've gotten radical with myself, and I'm really biting my lips not to say it out to people. And it's not get over it. I wanna say, "Are you done yet?" Because time is ticking. Like, I don't wanna be rude and say, "Get over it." But do you understand? Someone said something to me. That was 7 years of my life. And I'm like, they've been gone for 5. So no, it wasn't 7 of your life. Now it's been 12 because you are still back there and they are gone doing their thing, moved on, had several relationships, got a baby on the way, got a new partner. But you are saying that is 7 of my life. So for the last 5, you've been back here. So you just give them the whole entire thing, 12, 10 plus 2.
Yes,
You
yes,
said that without thinking. You
yes.
called it yourself. We are going back and forth in this conversation, but you called it yourself. So here's the question I have for you about resilience, Tom. And I know you're going to unpack this like no other. What's the difference between coping and getting by because you're still breathing or to keep up appearances versus really being resilient and moving forward?
So, this is a perfect opportunity, Alyssa, for me to tell you about 2 things. One is my definition for fear.
Come on.
My definition for fear is it's an opportunity for growth.
It's like fresh
We
air.
actually hear people talk so much today about the imposter syndrome. I
Mm,
think the imposter syndrome, when we feel either like we're not good enough or we don't belong here or whatever it shows up as, is an opportunity for growth. But I want to tell you this story about something I call terrible gifts. What's a terrible
mm,
gift? We all have things happen in our lives. We lose someone we love, a relationship ends, we get sick, a disaster happens and knocks out our home, a pet dies.
mhm,
Terrible. We wouldn't wish them on anyone. But what I know to be true is whether it's a month, a year, or 5 years, if you're open to it, there'll be a gift from it. And here's my best example for you. I know this woman, Olympiad level in her sports,
Mm.
went in for minor surgery, got MRSA. They had to cut off her leg. And as she sat in the wheelchair with the cane and the walking stick, of course she had that period of time because it may not be 30 minutes or 2 hours for you. It may take you a few days or months, whatever it is, we're all different. But
Mhm.
one day she looked at the cane and the walking stick and said, "These things are ugly." She decided to make in her kitchen oven acrylic cane, fashion the handle around a wine bottle. I love that part of the story. Let me tell you about this woman and what she's doing today. She has a global business making gorgeous canes and walking sticks. So people have them around the world. So when you approach them, rather than thinking about their disability or handicap, you look at this beautiful cane or walking stick. She got a terrible gift.
Come on. But she made a choice inside of the moment, inside of the period when it was hardest, most likely.
She stepped out of the past of what happened into the present, dealing with the real situation, and now what can I do with it?
Mm,
Because it
mm.
wasn't going to change. Reflects back to what you're saying. Somebody's 5 years after talking about a relationship that went on. You're not living your life. You're not going to go back.
Mhm,
It's either because it
mhm.
was comfortable and you feel like you have to have it to exist or whatever that feeling is, or it's too risky to go forward and all the reasons about it. Whatever you do, however it turns for you, whoever you need to see to get help, do something to move forward because the
Yes.
situation is not going to change. There is no do-over. There is no button to press that says, let me go back 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 years.
Come on. Oh, that is so good. Terrible gifts. Is that what you call it?
Terrible
Terrible
gifts.
gifts? Because it feels really bad, but it's still a gift.
You
Because
still get a
you've
gift.
decided. You get a gift, you decide if you're gonna unwrap it, and then you decide if you're gonna put that gift to use in your life. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I've had a number of terrible gifts, and I am grateful for every one of them because they happened, they were real. I don't get to change them. But what I can do with them, and then what I can do with them in service to others, wow.
Wow. Exactly. I remember, and I share this every now and then in my speaking platforms, and being hospitalized. Almost it's about 5 years ago. Going through that process, I had to make a decision to save my life, and as I said, I did go ahead a few months later, and I had to, you know, surrender my uterus to the earth because it was poisoning me. So I let it go. And in my pain, I remember okay, like a few months ago when they were telling me I was gonna die, we were doing the bestseller. I was launching that. And then while I was just about 2 or 3 days out of the hospital after surgery, I won a Businesswoman of the Year award in Atlanta, but I wasn't there physically. I couldn't believe I said I couldn't believe it because this was a highly competitive award. It was, they had the judges, the panelists review, and then there was public viewing and no voting, and then all the other things. It was just a big process that they went through with that. Someone had nominated me. And I remember like, I had won a lot of awards, and I'm not the biggest on awards. I'm always just grateful that people are acknowledging the work I do because that's great. It's always nice when people acknowledge what you do, but it's never why a lot of us do what we do. We just keep doing what we do, and people notice and they say, "Oh my gosh, you should be." I'm just doing what I know I came to do, right? So it's so natural for most of us. So I was grateful. I remember that being meaning so much for me, Tom, and these were the words that came out of my mouth. Very big example to what you said and what you live. It was, I know I'm on the right track, and I may not ever give physical birth to a child. because I'd had a long journey with fertility, even miscarriages. But I know I will give birth to possibilities that I couldn't even dream about. The end. That was
You
it for
got
me. I was clear.
you got a terrible gift.
A terrible gift. So many people say, "Oh my God, I can't believe that. You seem like such a great mom." And I am. I am. I help to take care of the children of the world. And I don't mean just little ones. That's children. All of us. This podcast. I am only able to sit with you, Tom, at 6:53 on a Thursday evening in the because I don't have to make dinner for my babies and get their homework done and put them to bed. So while someone is going to look at me and say, "You're so lucky," I can look at them and say, "Well, I would give anything to have a child to tuck into bed." However, you're given the gift of these babies, and I'm given the gift of this platform. And both of them come with challenges and nuances, pros, cons, risk, whatever you call them. But at the end of the day, that is the gift you're given. I get to be on the podcast. You get to be a mom. It's not promised to you. See, most women, we come into the world thinking we have a choice about whether or not we're going to be a mom. But what about women like me who did not make a choice not to be a mom and pursued it? But it wasn't the gift that we were given. But in that gift we didn't get, it's the gift of what we did receive. And for me, it was the gift of time, the gift of a different set of possibilities. And so that's how we do it, right?
That's it. There's
So resilience,
many definitions of the word birth.
come on now. And resilience is not emotional, is what I've learned. It is strategic. Is that
It
how
is
you're?
strategic. It is a very good word for it because when we're emotional, we move from resilience into back either into fear or the past or something else. Resilience is really thinking consciously about how we move ourselves forward.
Absolutely. That was so good. So, Tom, let's talk a little bit about your work and what you do because you transitioned from the corporate executive space to being that coach, trainer, author, and speaker. That's not a small pivot at all, not with everything that was on your plate. Was that reinvention strategic, or do you believe it to be more spiritual?
Well, there's a great story here, and
Hmm.
spirit is involved in everything I've done. But I am the CEO of the Academy for Coaching Excellence, which has been a coaching academy for 26 years. We train
Hmm.
coaches around the world. Here's the great thing. I took this coursework back in the late 90s.
Hmm.
I remember when I took it, I said to myself, I someday want to work with the founder of this work. And so I was thinking about it, and I worked with her for a couple years. I was sick. I took the first course when I had 6 months to live, believe it or not. I rode my bike from San Francisco to LA about 9 months later because of a vision map I did in that course. But I remember thinking, I wanna work with this person one day. I wanna do more with it. Well, fast forward 8 years later, I'm the CEO of the company. Had I not gone and done what I did along the journey, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I share this with you because we can manifest what we want in life. Manifesting is really simple. People don't get it. There's lots of books, there's lots of theories. Here's one thing that's true. Put it out there to the universe, God, love, whatever you'd like to call it.
Hmm.
Let go of the timing, let go of what it looks like, and just do the work, and you will manifest. I
Come
have
on
this
now.
great story about it. There's a bunch of Zoomers podcast in LA. I went down for the day, Gen Z. We had the best time. And when I left at the end of the day, I had really served them and done a lot of coaching along with being on their podcast. Got in an Uber to go to the airport, and the guy said to me, the driver said, "What have you been doing today?" And I thought to
Mm.
myself, he has no idea. So I talked to him about I had been working with this and manifesting. And so he said to me, I gave up on the manifesting stuff. I said, "What do you mean?"
Mm.
I said, "Well, I was raised really religious. I left that and I got into this manifesting, but I didn't get what I want, so I left it." I said, "Well, what did you want?" He said, "Well,
Yeah, so
I wanted a new car." And I'm sitting, Alyssa, in a brand new car. So I said to him, "Is this your car?" He said, "Yes." I said, "It's a brand new car?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Where's your old car?" He goes, "I rent it to other Uber drivers." I said, "Well, tell me what you didn't get." He said, "I didn't get the car I wanted."
oh, wow.
So I shared with him that what if this new car that he was sitting in, the old car bringing him money because he's renting it out to Uber drivers, it might just be a stepping stone to that car you want, and this new car you're sitting in is going to also help you produce income.
Mm.
When I car, he said, "Just a minute, sir." I said, "What?" He goes, "I just want to say thank you and let you know I'm going to start manifesting again."
The question I would have had to him is, were you specific about the kind of car you wanted, or was that just a
That
'cause a
was
lot of times
that was it exactly. He was being very specific. When you're manifesting something, here's the way to do it. And that
mhm,
I want a new car. I'd like this car or better. Always add or better. Don't box yourself in, but then let the work happen. It's not on our timing. You just get to keep doing the work to get there.
yeah, absolutely, it's not in our timing, because I know what that feels like, the frustration of timing. But what I do know is sometimes the things we desire, the timing is never gonna off, because timing doesn't work on our concept of it. I already believe that time is an illusion, and these days, we've been talking in my inner circle about timelines and how they are. We're trying to figure out. We don't know what we're talking about, but we've been flirting with what if and maybe trying to get a little bit of an understanding of it. I don't even some days I don't know why, but it just seems to be something that fits with trying to understand how things happen, when it happens, why it happens. I think humans, we're just always going to poke around in things that we will probably never figure out in this at this level anyway. But I believe that when it's that time because there are people who, for a lot of people, like they don't deserve what they just got. But sometimes it's their great grandmother that was manifesting it and it hits for them 49, 50, 60 years later. Here they are in the middle of it. But it was because I feel like we're that's why genealogy and DNA is such a big thing because just think about it. You're 50% of your mom, 50% of your dad. So if your dad wanted a Lamborghini in 2001 and you get it in 2050 or they got their Lamborghini. And I know people are like, well, you're just trying to find a way for why manifestation. I am not doing anything. I'm just saying, what if? Because you are on a path, but you never made room for that Lamborghini.
Yeah.
But you laid a foundation for room to be made. And your grandchild, who acts like a cuckoo bird, for most people, unlocked it. It doesn't determine whether he's an alcoholic, whether he deserves it or not. It just that he turned the key, that was the door, he stepped in, out comes the Lamborghini. That's just my thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
say
I
something
had
about
this
that thought.
I had this client and they said to me, "I'm very, very disappointed about what happened this year." I said, "Well, what are you disappointed about?" "I set a goal to make 200,000 in revenue." And I said, "Well, how did you turn out?" Well, I made 200 revenue. And I said, then what's the disconnect? Well, I earned 150 of it and somebody gave me $50,000.
Whew, Lord, I'm confused.
Now you can imagine where that conversation went, right? You were manifesting 200,000 in revenue. Who cares how you got it? You got there.
Let me tell you, I gave my number. I was just very adamant to my inner circle about my number just like less than 48 hours ago. By the time I was watching opportunities with 20,000 here, 12,000 here. And I'm like, oh, look, you see, almost, almost there. And someone said to me, but that was supposed to be through this particular. I'm like, I never said that. Maybe that's what you thought when I said my number, because I am not. I am smart enough to know by 45 how this whole game works. Because blow my socks off. Somebody would come in here and write me a $1 million check. And I am not, because, the concept that we have to labor and work hard and be deserving to manifest. And Tom, tell us that is not how that works. Please tell us about that mindset of limiting how things manifest when we get it, because that's unfortunately for friend here, that's his case. He wanted to tell the universe or God how it was going to go down.
So, the thing to do is to not get boxed in at how you get it. It's to say, I want something or better, but the specifics can get in your way.
Yes.
Just put it out there, let the universe, God, love, whatever you might want to call it, deliver. You just keep focused on doing the work. But don't get so specific that it's so hard for it to be delivered to you.
I think that is what locks us up. And I think a lot of people manifest what they ask for, but they can't see it because it didn't come wrapped up. Like some women, they're praying for a good man, a good, honest, hardworking, dedicated, supportive man. And he comes and he has a ponytail. And I'm like, do you know that a ponytail can come and a ponytail can go? But character building takes a lot of work. And people can wake up tomorrow and choose not to be that person that they are, but someone who's had 21 years of practice of just being a better growing human. You can't take that away.
You
So,
can't.
sis, stop asking for things. And it's funny. I saw a woman this morning early on my social media crying in tears saying, I think I just messed up what I asked God for. And she was saying exactly that. Funny, that stayed in my head. And I was like, yeah, because it didn't come wrapped how you thought it would. And so I mind. This is why I tell people I honor every soul I encounter. Not because I'm looking for a husband, but every soul, because I never know what blessing they would bring. And when I say blessing, I'm not talking about a check. A child that's 3-year-old can look at me and unlock something in me that may cause me to walk out from that encounter and do something that brings the revenue I need to push the mission of my nonprofit. I tell people not to be silly or anything. I don't need a whole lot of money to live a lavish lifestyle because the way I live is very simple. And everything I do, the bonus for me is I get to see the world. I get to meet people in their native spaces and their habitat. That's my passion, to be on different rivers and oceans and climb mountains. That's me. I'm not saying everybody has to. If you like to buy Louis Vuittons, I am not judging you. That's your jazz. My jazz goes that way. So it doesn't cost a lot for me to do that. If you're, so I'm like, I could chill out. But what the mission and the vision I have, it needs to be funded. And I am open to all the ways that it will come to be.
Well, I got something I got to tell you, Alyssa.
Tell me.
I got to tell you. So I've got something I call the philanthropic mindset.
I'm
Now,
gonna
what I
love it.
didn't
You know,
share
I'm a
with your
sucker for a mindset now. Come on, talk to me.
didn't share with your viewers is I'm actually a philanthropist. I do everything I do to feed my philanthropy. I
Oh,
focus on
wow.
underserved communities, first gen students, youth in the arts, current women's issues of the day, and some other stuff I feel passionate about. But I had people coming to me and saying, when I have money, I want to be a philanthropist. And it got me thinking that
That's not how that
philanthropy is
works.
more than your name on a building or going to a gala or writing a check. And in my talk, my keynote, the philanthropic mindset, what I speak to is that your smile or a hello can be a philanthropic gesture. The way you speak to someone, the way you open a door, the way you sit and comfort someone, all of these things can be a philanthropic gesture. The nonprofits I work with, I tell them the $1,000 check and the four-quarter donation are the same more than they're different. They come from someone's wealth. They come with the same spirit, with the same intention, right? So this philanthropic mindset has one catch to it. When we have expectations, you're not working from a philanthropic mindset. If you say hello or give a smile to someone and you think you should get something in return, you cross the line out of being a philanthropic
You
mindset.
come on, speak to it. Come on. And that's what I say. I was born and raised with one. And when I got launched into the global spotlight, unbeknownst to me, it was me literally having some friends, a young prince in Nigeria. He's got his community and he got this community that his father is king over, and he wanted to see that school was built for about 120 kids. They were going to school under a tree, and he was asking people for donations, and people had committed and it didn't come through, and he just happened to be telling me. I'm like, well, how much is it really going to cost? He says, I don't really know. I was like, well, find out. I'm like, how much could it be? He's like, we're doing the work, we just need the raw materials. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to not do my nails. I'm not going to do my hair. I haven't been doing my hair since COVID. I'd been doing it myself. So I'm going to take that money. And I used to go to church, and I'm not going to church anymore. So my 10%. So I'll take my 10%. I'll take my hair and nails money, and I'll donate every month as I get that out, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not making all this money at the time or whatever, but that's not why you give. You always give from what you have. You just always. And for me, let's admit, I was raised that way, so it's natural and I get it. So I'm not judging people, but I'm encouraging you to switch to that mindset, only because do I have 2 AirPods? I got 2 in my ears. Here's one for you, because I really only need one so I can hear through it. You don't have clothes? I've got several shirts. So here's a couple for you and a couple for you too. And that's how my mom was. So it was the same thing with this school. And month by month, and the roof went up, the walls went up, the blackboard went up, the water system went in, this food program went in, and I was the only donor. But it was a little. It wasn't even $5,000 at the end, and they had a school. Little kids, big kids, they were all making the blocks and doing the cement, and they built it. And they had one person who kind of knew what they were doing there. So it was done. American standard, guys. Don't get it twisted. And when you say that in America, people thinking, school, you helped them. He's telling everyone, I'm not. That's what you do when someone needs help. You help. You chip
Yeah.
in, and pray that other people do and meet what you can't. But that day never came. Just
Yes.
went within less than 6 months. We were done.
Well, here we are in Black History Month, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would say to us, the biggest question is, what are you doing for others? And so we have a responsibility, whatever we have, whether it's we're sharing our time, our talent, or our treasure,
Come
You may
on.
be just able to share time, to give time to someone to sit with them or help them with something. You may have a talent. You may be able to bake or make a scarf or knit for ICU babies or something. You may have a treasure that isn't always money. You can have different forms of, but what are you doing that is helping someone else? Because here's the key: without expectation, this is the truth. When you give to others, you will always get more in return.
Come on. And you're never without. Never without. I have never been without. And I will say the only reason I encountered the opportunity to give out of what I had, and in many moments didn't throughout that few months, was because I was giving my time already. I got to meet all these people because I would show up and do a training at 4 in the morning for the youth because I never thought giving was never about money. I honestly think the most valuable thing you can give someone is your time because
Yeah.
we don't know how much of it we have. That's my thought. But I was getting up and doing these trainings, and a lot of people would say, "You do such amazing work around the globe. How can I help?" Like, this is it. Plug you in here, plug you in there. I cannot wake up at 4 in the morning. I don't know how you do it. You just only did it one time. Good for you. What are you worrying about? Maybe I'm programmed to it because I know the joy of seeing someone else's life unlocked and transformed. If that's not your thing, I get it. But find your thing. Find your thing. And I tell people being philanthropic is not it's it's a very self-full act because there's more. The pouring from you is still such a filling for you. And I don't know how else to explain it, Tom. It is
Yeah.
still such a filling.
Well, then the next step or part along with it is gratitude. True gratitude isn't just saying thanks. I mean, I have a great gratitude practice. If you want to have real gratitude, you're grateful for the difficult things, you're grateful for the challenges, you're grateful for whatever comes along in life because
Mm,
you are here living. You get this one wonderful life to live. We don't know what the
yes.
great mystery is. We have faith, we have belief in what might happen later, but until that moment happens, we really don't know. What we do know is we are born and we are going to die, and we all get a different amount of time, and most of us don't know when. What can you do to be grateful for it all?
Good for the soul. Good for the soul. Tom, I wanted to flip the script with you. This is the part of the show where we flip the script. You faced moments that could have defined you by limitation, right? So I want you to take this moment where you had to make that decision. If you can share with us internally, what was the mindset shift that allowed you to stay, I'm still here instead of why me?
I think what happens is I used resilience. I took risks, I used resilience, and I kept reinventing myself. Whatever the challenge was that was trying to take me down or slow me down or make me feel bad or that I couldn't do something or be fearful, I took some risk, I used some resilience, and I reinvented myself because it's not the past, it's where I am today, and I'm still alive and breathing. I wrote this book, Life in
That's
Business
thank you.
Suits, Hospital Gowns, and High Heels. It's a
Yes.
memoir that crosses over to self-help, and I wrote it because I wanted the reader to see that who we are today is the sum parts of all we've been in our life, and
Yes.
some of those parts may be shameful outlines. We wanna keep them private, or we just think somebody wouldn't understand. But all those parts are who you are today, and without one of them, you wouldn't be the same person you are today.
Come on, you can't
Embrace
take any of it.
embrace them all because they created who you are today, and I think
Mm,
whatever we face in life, it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but where you are is where you are, and where can you move forward? I have people talk to me and they say, "My life just runs smooth like this." Well, you know what that looks like to me? Those hospital shows we love when they're flatlined, right? Life is a series.
If you're in a comfort zone, you're dead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
life is a series. I think these series, we could call it a down, is the opportunity to learn and grow. The up is when I
So when you get
express
up.
it, but knowing that I'm going to have that opportunity to learn and grow again.
And it's so beautiful once you do. That reinvention piece feels so good. So, so good. The other question I have for you, how do you now define success after everything you have won through?
For me, success is the ability to learn something new every day.
I'm not surprised.
We can reach a level and we think we've got all we need and learned it all. There's so much to learn from each other, from nature, from the sky. There's just so much to learn. In fact, I joke and say on my final breath, I'm going to say, just a moment, I've got questions. I need to learn something about this final breath. So for me, success is being willing to keep being a learner.
Yes.
Learning, you expand who you are. You're able to take in more and become bigger, and then you have more to share.
So beautiful. I love it. So, Tom, what's the next big thing for you? And what kind of mindset is required for you to step into it?
The next big thing for me is I've got 3 more books coming.
Whoa.
So, the next one, I'll just give you a hint about them. The next one is My Life at Facebook, The Adult in the Room. When I was there, everybody was 20 and 21, deferring law school, business school, medical school, and I was 50. I was old enough to be their father. So, I'm gonna tell a fun story about being there through my eyes, being the oldest person there that they called the adult in the room at the time. And then I'm gonna write a book about my life in toxic soup, about a toxic relationship and toxic cancer treatments woven together.
The comparison, I can't wait to see how you're gonna juxtaposition those because I
Yeah,
I already smell the how parallel they are. I can taste it. I just wrote a little piece. I don't know what I'm gonna do with, but I was talking about the parallel of individuals when you're sick and tired of a job, you hate that job, you don't want to go to that job, but you need the money. You haven't found a new job yet, but you keep showing up anyway. Don't be in a relationship and act that way because it's not, it's really hurtful. While an
yeah,
employer will bounce back and find a new employee, readily, it can cause hurt depending on the position you are, but it's very devastating to the other person.
yeah.
Just leave them alone. Stop showing
And
up.
I see I'm still here as a
Mm,
mindset because I'm still here means I have an opportunity to serve others, to be grateful, to continue to do good things and experience the fullness of life. So to me, I'm still here is a mindset that says I'm still here.
I'm still here. That means there's accountability, responsibility, growth, lessons, and all the things. So tell us a little bit more, Tom, about what readers can expect and anticipate from your book. Where do we get a copy? But I also want you to kind of weave it together because I think you're still doing coaching, consulting, and keynotes. So tell us about your body of work that you've built
Yes,
and
I,
how
I
you're
love that.
making a difference today.
Thank you, Alyssa. When I wrote this book, I looked at it being sort of a triad of my coaching, my speaking, and the book all feeding each other. And this book has been such a great experience. I've won 3 book awards. I was on a billboard in Times Square a few weeks ago, the book was, and, it's been amazing, and what people tell me is, "I can't put this book down," or, "I laughed, I cried, I did both at once." But my favorite part is when people will reach out to me and they'll say, "I'm with it, da 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 da," and they're talking about some part of my life that's in the book, and I'm, like, a little confused for, like, "Where are" "Oh, they're with me in the book." And, it's really I grew up living in a shack. We called it the shack. We had no hot
Uh,
water and no refrigerator. My dad brought home ice to put in the ice box every day. And I went
oh,
from that to working at Fortune 500 companies to surviving these two life-threatening illnesses and all of these things. And there's something about all of this experience and all these different experiences that brings what I like to call life's wisdom. And when you get life's wisdom, we all do, you have
mm-hmm.
a responsibility to share.
Yes, you do. You have a responsibility. You absolutely do. And there's so much joy in it. So tell us, who do you work with in your coaching practice?
I work a lot with executives and founders, and I work and their teams. I work with nonprofit executive directors and their teams. I do retreats, and then I work with a lot of different people. But those are seem to be two areas, and a lot of people think I do it about business, but it turns out being more about the individual. But my favorite story I have to tell you about coaching someone is my favorite restaurant here in San Francisco. I was watching this bus person, and over a few months, I watched how he was doing everything everybody else was doing except taking the order. So I stopped him one day and I said, "Why aren't you a server?" So he started giving me all these excuses from I'm shy, he wasn't shy, to I'll make too much money and I won't get on with what I'm doing in life. What I learned was at 19, he was a pilot. To me one day, we talked often every now and then, but he came to me one day and he said, "They offered me the full-time server again." I said, "What'd you do?" And he said, "I told them no." So I looked
Wow.
as a good coach uses curiosity, and I said, "I'm
Right.
curious. I'm curious, what if you were to tell them that you'd just like to try 2 or 3 shifts one week to see what it felt like? Think I can do that. Well, when I go to that restaurant now, guess who waits on me and takes my order? He does.
Wow.
The best part is just the other day, he finally got the next level of license for the pilot that he can fly by himself. And he said to me, I would have never been able to do it without the extra money because I couldn't have gotten there that fast. And I've already
See?
signed up for the next level because he wants to eventually be a commercial pilot.
Wow. How amazing. That is a beautiful
The
story.
other thing I find, Alyssa, is so fun is people I work with a lot of people who've been laid off from their job or they're making transitions.
Mm,
And what I
mhm.
find with people that are laid off a lot of time, they have one foot in the future and one foot in the past. Well, if you go outside and try, you're not going to get very far. You got to move that foot up with the next one eventually, right? And then I'll
Mhm.
talk to somebody that say there's a CEO that's retiring but doesn't want to stop work, but they don't know what they want to do. I love to ask these people, what did you always want to do? What was the dream? And it
Yes.
invariably comes to somebody told them they couldn't, they shouldn't, they thought they wouldn't. The coulda, woulda, shouldas, and
Not telling it coulda,
you
woulda,
open
shoulda.
a space that they can do something they always wanted to do. You may have to fine tune it a little bit, but it has the elements of what they wanted to do. All this magic happens, it's the best.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's so magical. It's so rewarding when you're able to help someone really just unlock themselves. I mean, a lot of times we say the word potential, we say the word transformation. I just say unlocking yourself because it is true. You're already it, but you've got it locked up and caged, buried somewhere. So yeah, love that. Love
Well,
that.
so many
So
times, I
Tom,
know this has happened to you and your viewers, we see somebody who's having an issue in their life, and to us,
mhm,
the answer is so obvious. If you would only do this, that
yes.
problem wouldn't be there. We have to remember they aren't looking through our eyes. They're not seeing what you think is obvious,
Nope,
and
they are
telling
not.
them is not going to change that. When
No,
you create
yes.
curiosity, when you create
Yes.
something that's curious about looking at something,
Yes.
then you might have some movement.
That's it. That's when things start to shake up. I love it. So, Tom, for mindset advice to go, I'm going to ask you to speak into the person that's listening that maybe they're facing a health challenge or they're facing career uncertainty, or maybe they're just tired, sick and tired. What do you want them to remember if they take nothing else from our conversation? What's that one truth that you would invite them to anchor to? I'm going to step away from the microphone and the camera, and it's all you. Here we go.
Hi, viewers. There's two things I want to share with you. One, we talked about earlier. If you're living in the past, come join us here in the present. Learn what you need to learn, but step forward and take that ball and chain off your ankle. Leave it behind and step into taking a risk so you can use some of your resilience to reinvent yourself. It's one of the best things you can do is to not live in the past. The other thing I want to share with you that's so important is sometimes we need some help, need support. I call it the energy of support. If you think you need help, reach out to somebody. Reach out to a coach if you need a professional that's different than a coach, that's somebody that's got different skills, reach out to them. But do something and reach out and use the energy of support. It's not a weakness, it's a sign of strength.
It's a sign of strength. Just come on and just do it. Tom, what an amazing gift you just give us. We're going to hold on to those words. I got to ask you, Tom, what is your favorite place and way for us to connect with you?
Well, you're welcome to visit my website, www.tomlenoble.com. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on all the socials. But my email address, which my team always goes, quit giving out that email address, but I keep giving it out because I love to talk to people, is resilient at tomlenoble.com. Resilience at tomlenoble.com.
And guess what? You always know it's in the description wherever you're listening, watching to this episode. So no excuse not to connect. Grab a copy of I'm Still Here and also let Tom know you heard him here on Mindset Mastery Moments. Tom, thank you so much for your transparency. Thank you for your leadership and for reminding us that resilience is not about perfection. It's about presence. And for everyone listening, if today's conversation resonated with you, I want to remind you that Tom has a powerful free gift that I paused when I started taking it only because I want to talk about it on his next episode with me. It is the Riskability Quiz. You go to his website. The link is also in the description. And be sure to just take it. And if you got questions, you want to dive deeper, connect with Tom. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with someone. There's so much transformation here because somebody in your circle might need the reminder that they are still here for a reason. This is Dr. Elisa with my co-host today, Tom Lenoble, saying keep mastering your mindset. Things speak to become. Bye now.